In a court filing last week, the day before Thanksgiving, so last Wednesday, the officer captain assigned to the Judicial Threats Assessment Unit in the New York court, of course, where Donald Trump is being tried for fraud, that captain filed in court that there have now been hundreds of threats against both Judge Arthur Engoron and, of course, the clerk that Engoron has repeatedly had to slap Donald Trump with sanctions for attacking. Now, this filing was made in response to Donald Trump's efforts to get the gag order against him permanently repealed, and it is important to remember that earlier this month, that gag order was temporarily issued a stay, which means right now that gag order is not in effect. So this filing by the Judicial Threat Assessment Unit was made to the court to show them how horrible Donald Trump's rhetoric has not only become, but how horrible it is making his supporters act. The Threat Assessment Unit of the court says that there have been plenty of credible threats against both Engoron and the clerk, and those are coming in the forms of emails, phone calls, and letters. Here is what they filed in court. On a daily basis, the judge and his staff are being inundated with hundreds of harassing and threatening phone calls, voicemail messages, and emails. They also said, as I mentioned, plenty of these are actually credible, which means if the individual making the threat did have the opportunity, they would act on these threats that they are making. Now, legal experts have been speaking out ever since this filing was revealed last week. Over the weekend, they were appearing on the cable news shows and the network news shows to talk about the fact that they firmly believe that this is Donald Trump's intent. This is what he wants. They believe, as do I, and as do obviously most of our viewers and listeners here, they believe that this is what Donald Trump is hoping will happen. And let's not forget, we also have that new book out that explicitly says that Donald Trump told the author he hopes his people act on his words. Not necessarily in this trial, because obviously the trial had not started when the book was being written, but Trump has made the comment, according to that author, that he hopes, that's the word he used, hopes, that his supporters will act on his words. And as we're seeing now, based on this court filing, his supporters are acting on it, or at least threatening to act on it. If they were given the opportunity, they would do it. That is what the Threat Assessment Unit found. That's, by the way, how they determine if it's credible. So, what happens now? What happens now is that the appellate court that is currently taking its sweet-ass time trying to figure out if they're going to leave the gag order in place or repeal it, they have to make their decision. And it's kind of obvious, based on the threats these people are receiving, what that right decision is. Donald Trump immediately, literally hours after that gag order was temporarily lifted, got right back to attacking the judge and the clerk. Immediately. We know what he's going to do if this gag order is not in place. We know what his supporters want to do to these people. And we know that they are constantly, every day, receiving hundreds of threats for doing nothing more, by the way, than doing their job. These people don't deserve this. This is not what they signed up for. They did not, the clerk especially, obviously, didn't sign up to be a public figure. And Donald Trump has thrust this individual into the spotlight to where she is at the point of receiving hundreds of threats a day against her life. He needs to be stopped. He needs to be shut up. It is not a violation of his First Amendment rights, and the court has every obligation, not just the ability or the right. At this point, they have an obligation to put that gag order back and protect these court employees. One of today's video sponsors is Miracle Made. Winter is here, folks, and if you're like me, then that means struggling to find the right temperature when I sleep. I recently found a way to stay at the perfect temperature all night long using silver-infused bed sheets by Miracle Made that were inspired by NASA. When I made the switch, I immediately noticed a difference in my sleep quality, and I'm confident that you will too. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle-Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets, so no more gross odors. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands, and they feel as nice, if not nicer, than bed sheets used by some 5-star hotels. And it's designed for your skin. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne, and you can sleep clean with Miracle. Now, I've been using Miracle-Made sheets for quite some time now, and I couldn't be happier with this product. They help keep me cooler throughout the night, which means I'm getting better sleep because I'm not waking up all throughout the night from being too hot. And with the holiday shopping season upon us, Miracle-Made products are a great gift for anyone who could use a better night's sleep. So go to trymiracle.com/ROF to try Miracle-Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code ROF at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle-Made. Go to trymiracle.com/ROF and use the code ROF to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/ROF to treat yourself, a friend, or a loved one this holiday season.